Good morning. Well, good morning as of the time of making this video. Eric here at driverlineup.com, world located steering wheel holder. I just slept my ass off. Jenna just woke up. I slept. I messed up. I was supposed to try and stay up all night and sleep today, and that didn't. I slept all night. So I want to, I'm going to do a little bit of a history. I'm not going to say lesson because I'm not a history professor on Texas, but I looked up some things last night and excuse me. Before I do that, I want to do a shout out to another Prime YouTuber who's recently come over to Prime. Tim Travels is his video, or his channel. I'm going to link to it down below. I highly recommend you go subscribe to his channel. He does some history on every location that he does a video from, and it's really fascinating. I just really like the way he was an attorney before driving a truck and had his own law practice and everything. So I like, it's really fascinating. It's a fascinating channel. I'm not trying to copy him with this video. So Tim Travels, if you see this video, I'm not trying to copy you. I'm just really fascinated with Laredo. And yesterday I was talking about the trucks that are coming over from Mexico, or as they call them in the shippers and receivers here, Mexican trucks, because they are Mexican trucks. But I want to give you some context to that. Because Laredo's, I wouldn't want to live here because it's hot and humid all the time, but it is a fascinating town. If you ever come here with Prime's yard, the Laredo yard, is like less than a mile from one of the biggest border crossings there. And during the day, especially like during rush hour, morning or evening, trucks are just flowing across that border in both directions. There's a little curve when you turn to go east on whatever highway this is that Loves is on, and trucks are just flowing through that curve into this into this road non-stop all day long. And so it's I think it's like 36% of all U.S. Mexican trade comes through Laredo. 36%. Back in like 2010, in 1 month there was, I don't know that they've published data like this since then. Maybe they have. It's probably substantially more. But back then in 1 month it was like $20 billion in trade happened here in Laredo in 1 month. So it's crazy. When you drive down that highway that we're on right now, that this Loves is on, you'll see yards that are full of like Caterpillar equipment, spools of steel, all flatbeds, all preloaded. At the Prime yard, there's always flatbeds preloaded. They'll have like construction equipment and these gigantic HVAC AC units for the top of skyscrapers, and there's just tons of stuff. The other day we saw Freightliners being pulled across, multiple Freightliners pulling Freightliners. So they're, I guess, building Freightliners in Mexico. I didn't know that. So there's just so much economy coming through this little town of Laredo. 250,000 people live here on the Texas side. So it's not a huge city, but it basically is a major economic artery for the U.S. economy. Prime does, so on the flatbed side, we do a lot of construction materials and things like that, and I only know that because I always see those flatbeds sitting over there. But on the reefer side, it's produce like crazy. We're picking up a produce load later today. We pick up tomatoes from here. We've picked up all kinds of things down here. That there's all kinds of warehouses on the Laredo side where these Mexican trucks come in across the border, just constantly flowing across the border. They offload their stuff from Mexico and then U.S. trucks come down from all over, OTR trucks. It goes in one side of the warehouse into the U.S. truck, and then the U.S. truck goes off and takes it wherever it's got to go. So it's a fascinating, just the amount of economic activity here is crazy. Now, looking at some history side of it, Laredo, for a short period of time in 1840, it was established, I think, in 1755, but in 1840, Laredo was a part of its own republic. It was the capital of the Republic of the Rio Grande, and that republic was established as a rebellion against Santa Anna and Mexico. So they were kind of in an insurgency against Mexico, and of course they lost. So Laredo and what was the Republic of the Rio Grande became a part of Mexico, and then in the Mexican-American War, when the treaty was signed, Laredo was handed over to Texas, the U.S. And the people here protested, or a lot of them. They didn't want to be a part of Texas, so they moved across the river and started Nuevo Laredo, which is the new city. That's what that means. And that side of the border is the biggest side of the size. I think between the two, the population's close to 1 million. So the Mexican side is much more populated, much bigger. And a lot of them stayed here on the Texas side. They, of course, their descendants and relatives and everyone became Americans. So it's really fascinating kind of how it came about. But another thing that's interesting to me is that there is this city, which I've seen pictures before, and those of you, maybe you're from Mexico, you're probably very familiar with it. I envy you for it. This city looks absolutely beautiful beyond words, and it's the city of Monterey, Mexico. If you look at pictures of Monterey, Mexico, it is just like stunningly beautiful. It's unbelievably beautiful. Very modern. I think it was recently published as the most livable place in Mexico or something like that. Really modern skyrises, skyscrapers and stuff like that, but it has these huge mountains that set as the backdrop, and the skyscrapers and cities built right into the foot of these mountains. Huge city. Its entire footprint is like almost 6 million people. So think of that. I mean, Chicago's entire footprint's what, 7-8 million people? Like the entire thing, not like Chicago proper, but the entire area. So Monterey, Mexico is a big city. And when you're down here in Laredo, you think it's just vast, like, openness over in Mexico. I think that's always the way I envisioned it. But Monterey, Mexico is about the same distance from Laredo as San Antonio is. So, you're sitting here in Laredo thinking, okay, well, there's the Mexican side of the river, Laredo, and it's a big city, but it's not a big city. It's just bigger than the Texas side of Laredo. And you think beyond that, it's just like vast openness. But just the distance between here and San Antonio is Monterey, Mexico, which is a massive, beautiful city that's kind of like right up in the mountains there. Really fascinating stuff. So, some drivers don't like to come to Laredo for whatever reason. We don't mind it. We come to Laredo. I don't think we've ever said no to a load to Laredo. It always works out for us. We did have to say no to 2 loads yesterday. One was a flour load with a stop in Houston and Chicago, and the other was a load to Tracy, California. We were like, nah, those 2 were in load choice, so we decided just to sit, call the bluff and sit. And then last night we got a produce load to PA that we're picking up today at the Prime Yard. So we don't mind coming to Laredo at all. It always works out for us in both directions. But a lot of Prime drivers, for whatever reason, don't like to come to Laredo. It's easy to get in and out of here. It's where was I? Sorry, I had to pause for a second. Anyway, I don't. If you're new with Prime and you get asked to go to Laredo, I'd say go to Laredo. It's hot as hell. I'll admit that. It's hot as hell, and you're probably gonna have to idle your truck. It's a little bit a little bit of an adjustment. There's some things that are different. So yesterday there were 20 people in line for a shower here at Love's in the morning, but in the afternoon there was like nobody in line for the shower. So I asked the guy inside, because I was looking at all the camera mounts and stuff, and I asked the guy inside because now there's 15 people in line again. I'm like, what's the deal with the showers being so backed up in the morning? He goes, that's because the drivers that come across from Mexico use this as their shower. It's like they wake up, they have breakfast, and they come across the Loves and take a shower. Like, it is their shower, So there's just some things that are just different. So if you come to this Loves and you don't want to try to take a shower in the morning, because the city across the border, its drivers seem to prefer the showers over here. So, and it was weird because the lot was half empty yesterday morning. We're like, what the hell? How is there 20 people waiting for a shower? Because basically every truck that was here to take a shower. I thought that was funny. Anyway, yeah, it's try to learn some stuff about where you go. There's some interesting things that you learn, and go follow Tim Travels, because I learned a lot of stuff from him. Just at the beginning of his videos, he talks about the history of rivers and stuff like that, why they're called what they are. All kinds of neat stuff he talks about at the beginning of his videos. So anyway, Laredo is it's an interesting place. It is always active and always busy. Always tons of trucks moving in all directions.
That sounds
Jenna, there was a very diarrhea farty sound coming from the back, and she wanted to clarify that she's filling her vape with juice and the bottle's empty. Oh, that's funny. We're gonna end it on that note. All right, guys, be safe, make good decisions, always drive to thrive. We'll talk to you soon.